What do you call 10 bunny rabbits walking backwards?
I don't know what.
A receding hairline.
Welcome to the Fire Takes podcast, where we give our takes on the internet's most interesting stories. I am joined, as always, by the fiery millennial herself, Miss Gwen. How are you doing today, Gwen?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling great. I did a lot of capitalism today.
Excellent.
And, I felt super productive and, getting her done.
You're looking pretty great, too.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Party on. All right. We have got a couple of bangers here and a couple of interesting conversations. So I think we got a good mix. This first story actually comes from a weird subreddit. It is the Charlotte Dobre subreddit. I'm not familiar with this YouTuber.
You don't know who she is?
I do not know
She
Charlotte.
posts like reaction videos. We'll link it in the show notes, but she has made a niche for herself in being like over the top and dramatic, but she's usually not wrong.
Huh.
So I will say that I do occasionally have them come across my feed and I watch them. And there's something, but
Interesting.
she has the right reactions.
Yeah. So this Charlotte story kind of came to me through Best of Redditor updates, which is always fun because we get a couple of different takes from OP here. So starting off, the title of the story is, "Am I the asshole if I, 26 male, ask my girlfriend, 24 female, why she only gets the largest things at a restaurant and doesn't finish them?" So I have been dating Cass for about 4 months now. I feel like we've gotten into a very good rhythm of things, and I've enjoyed every date with her. The only thing I question is whenever we go to have dinner at a restaurant, no matter where we are, Cass will just buy the biggest plate like a platter, but throughout the dinner will just poke at her meal while we talk. By the time the check is cleared, the majority of the plate is still there, and Cass takes it home. The issue isn't money. Even if Cass gets something expensive, I will just minimize my meal to stay within budget. The issue is just that I'm starting to feel a certain way having dinner with Cass just for her to barely eat anything but take the rest home. Why ask for so much food if she knows she won't finish? Is there an issue at home where she needs to take extra food? Is she not actually hungry and just agreeing to have dinner for something else? As a boyfriend, I'm comfortable with giving a helping hand when she needs it, but I'm not sure if I'm overthinking or maybe crossing a boundary we haven't reached yet. Is this something where I should be upfront and ask her about it?
Talk to the partner? Wow. Bold.
Yeah, this is interesting. I never had an experience where I dated someone and I felt like I was being taken advantage of, because people talk about on dating apps, right? Like, oh, girls are on there just to grab a free dinner or whatever, right? It's like I never felt like taken advantage of by someone I was dating. And I think I maintained a high level of generosity like through my dating life.
Okay, but question. How many dates did you go on? How many women did you take on dates?
Well, first of all, I got to date women, which is nice. But also, admittedly not a whole lot.
Like, between you and me, we've probably dated 100 different people, and you've probably dated like 12 of those. So I would say that you have a very good view of dating, but maybe not necessarily a super deep view of dating. And I will say, as a woman who was unfortunately stuck on the dating market a lot longer than she wanted to be, it would have been super easy to just schedule a dinner date with a different guy every night and just have every meal paid for out.
Yeah.
It would have been easy to do that, but it's not worth it. So
Sure. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on some dates where the best part of the date was the food that I got.
100%.
But there's a term for it that I've forgotten what it is. I've never specifically gone out to have a guy pay for my meal just to have a free dinner.
Well, and the interaction with a stranger who you don't know what's going to happen, right? It's like, would you rather go to dinner with a man or a bear, right?
Yeah. Yep, it's true. Hold on a sec. Oh, yeah, foodie call.
A foodie call? That's amazing. All right. Let's read a little further here and see if Cass is a foodie call kind of gal. There was one commenter that I wanted to point out here who said, many women, including me, were trained to eat like a bird in front of men. I rejected this intentionally as a girl, preferring the cool guy's girl attitude when I could eat with gusto and drink you under the table and still be pretty hot. But on dates and at lunch interviews with men, when I wanted to impress, I could easily eat only a few bites of my very dainty salad, even when starving. I'd then inhale my leftovers as soon as I went home. So, I mean, I've heard that trope before, right? Maybe she was just picking at her food.
It is a very generous way of looking at that.
OP responded to that. I feel like this might be the issue. I should have mentioned it in the post, but thinking back on it, she has never actually suggested we eat together. Last night we had our movie date, and we shared my popcorn, and I snuck in her favorite snack. Cass held the bucket and was pretty much eating it when I wasn't reaching for it. She was about to go home, and I asked if she would have dinner with me. Cass has never asked if I could take her to dinner or anything like that. I'm the one who wants to eat. So I'm leaning towards that she just doesn't want me to see her eating, or she just might not have enough food at home. All right, so now we have a follow-up, but the follow-up actually takes a bit of a left turn here because it's not just a traditional update. It's a whole new Would I Be the Asshole post. Would I be the asshole if I, 26 male, canceled my ex's 24 female birthday present?
Oh,
spoiler alert.
Boy. Talking about just leading with the lead. Usually you bury the lead, right?
Sorry. Yeah, I did not bury the lead. Hey, everyone. So I posted on here a few weeks ago about my then girlfriend, Cass. So as a mini update to that dilemma, she was having food issues at home. That's not great, right? I offered to help her and she accepted. However, it doesn't really matter. She then ghosted me 2 weeks later. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't hurt, but for the most part, I've moved on. We had a short-lived romance, and for what it was, I liked it. And I'm not going to ask why she would do something like that. The main issue I'm having is about a gift I got her for her birthday. Cass has always wanted to go to the Met Opera, but I couldn't because tickets were too expensive for her. Since we had been dating for 2 months by that point, I was feeling pretty good about things. I liked Cass, and I expected our relationship to last after her birthday. So I bought her a ticket. I only bought one for her since it would be on a day that I would be at work. I added her to the email so she also got the QR code for the ticket. She was very grateful at the time, but never mentioned it again, so I honestly forgot. As I was removing her from my socials, I noticed that she had posted a story on Facebook about her early birthday present, how she was so excited to go and couldn't believe it was happening. I rarely go on Facebook, so I never noticed it when she had posted it. Then I saw the price for the ticket was still there. $224. Not gonna lie, I got a bit salty about that kind of money going to someone who just vanished. I checked the website and of course there were no refunds. The only option they had was to exchange it for another show. The opera isn't something that interests me and I don't know anyone that would want to go. But part of me is tempted to just exchange the ticket to something else out of spite. I know Charlotte, the YouTuber that we're sneaking on her subreddit here, I know Charlotte loves when people are petty. It is why I subscribed. But it feels really mean to just pull the rug out from under Cass. It's something she's always wanted to go see. Maybe it's because there are still some feelings there, or maybe it's because it's just genuinely awful to do. Would I be the asshole?
Well, I don't think that you would be an asshole. I think it's kind of a dick move, but then again, so is ghosting. So,
yeah.
Do you want her to feel the same way about the end of the relationship that you do? Or do you just want to chalk up that $224 as loss and move on with your life?
That is true. OP could have left it there. The money was already spent, right? He's not getting that back. There's not a whole lot of value he can derive from this. So yeah, maybe the motivations, right? Like, why is he doing this? Because he wants to hurt someone that hurt him, right? That feels maybe not the greatest of motivations to go on. But yeah. So we had a commenter here that said if she really ghosted you out of the blue, you could change it and not be the asshole. You'd be kind of petty, but that's okay sometimes. In my opinion, you don't owe anything to someone who treats you like yesterday's leftovers. But if there is more behind the ghosting you're not telling us, you should not. And OP says, as far as I'm aware, there isn't anything more to the ghosting. Around 2 weeks ago, she started being a little more distant, Messages would be left unread, short responses, heart emojis stopped, no more good morning and good night. She canceled on a date night. 2 days later, find out I'm blocked when I tried to plan another one. We've actually never had a fight for almost 5 months we dated. So at this point, yeah, I mean, he's just forlorn. He's sad and he wants to lash out a little bit. And maybe it's not the greatest idea. However, we get one more update.
It's the final
yes, titled
update.
The Final Update. Hey, everyone. So since I got so much support in the last post, I thought you at least deserved to know how it all ended. So I took the last few days to think things over. And well, it turns out I didn't need to. The needle dropped on the whole ghosting situation with Cass. She was talking to someone else when she ghosted me. Many of my friends suggested this at first, that she found a better offer and took it. Yeah, I mean, you probably could have saw that with this one coming, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Her Instagram was the last thing I didn't remove her from. After that whole story on her Facebook, I decided to stay followed on her feed just in case I learned anything. Yeah, she pretty much started posting out nice restaurants, lots of vague love posts, and styling her hair like when we first started talking. She unfollowed a lot of people, including me, and she puts a date with heart emojis on it. The date, 3 days after her last text to me. Today, she posted a picture kissing a guy. Any lingering feelings of guilt died. I called Cass, wanting to just be direct. I told her that I was actually unsure what to do with the gift, saying it wouldn't be appropriate for me to give someone an expensive gift when they have a new boyfriend. She got a bit annoyed, saying I gave it to her when we were dating, and that I shouldn't hold a grudge. I said, is it really holding a grudge when I just found out you were cheating on me? Cass lost it, saying that I was stalking her posts and coming to wild conclusions. I countered that was all I could really do when she ghosted me. She said that that's just how she does things since a breakup is messy and she's had bad experiences in the past. No, you don't buy that one?
Oh no, I'm sure that she's had bad experiences. I don't doubt that for a second. And I'm sure that breakups are messy, and it's probably because she doesn't know how to communicate with anybody.
Yeah. All right. So then the petty language started coming out. That her new boyfriend was more able to support her, that he was focused on the grind while I'm working myself to death to merely make ends meet. He can take her out almost every day while I had to work around my schedule. I work in healthcare, and if you've ever worked in a hospital, you know it's long hours. I countered that I gave her all my free time, and if she had a problem with our relationship, she could have talked to me. I ended the call saying her boyfriend could buy the ticket instead. I exchanged the ticket for one to Carmen and gave it to my mom as an early Mother's Day gift. Did I jump to conclusions? Maybe. You can tell me if I'm in the wrong, since I actually did it. Am I the asshole?
Not the asshole.
Yeah, no. I think he was right to be contemplative in the middle, but, you know, as he learned all of the details, no, he's in the clear.
Well, within his rights.
Yeah.
And what a mensch, you know, taking his mom out for Mother's Day. Like, that's such a
nice guy.
Somebody who will appreciate that $224.
Right.
As opposed to somebody who's like, well, you gave it to me when we were dating, so I can still go.
Yeah. But yeah, and especially how quickly she went to petty and vindictive and like, oh, my new boyfriend's better in...
So much better than you.
In clearly the ways that matter, i.e. can take me to dinner so I have plenty of leftovers so I never have to buy food, I guess.
She barely has a pot to piss in.
Clearly.
I mean, she better be hot.
Yeah. Right. We actually have another story of what happens whenever your girlfriend's primary trait is being hot.
Oh,
but
jeez.
That's...
Talk about the hook to keep you listening.
That's a teaser. That's our last story. We're going to do some more informative stuff here in the middle.
All right. Well, going on to our second one. This comes from the subreddit of rfire. And the title is Reaching Fi Has Accelerated My Career. We have been Fire followers for 6 years, starting from $100,000 when we got married. We have finally reached $1 million US net worth recently, which is our Fi number. We are not based in the US. Our previous work environments have both turned hostile a few months ago. Before reaching 5, we used to be scared of not having enough income, and we sucked up toxic work environment for far too long. But not now. Not anymore. The tables turned. We have the power. I quit that job a few months ago with nothing lining up, thinking of taking a 6-month break. I literally told my ex-boss that now I have FU money. Within a month, I got poached by another firm and started the interview process. The new firm was being indecisive and not telling me if I got an offer or not after 5 rounds of interviews. So I told them, sorry, I got another pending offer, and please let me know your final decision soon. Within a day, they finalized and gave me the offer at 30% above my salary. 0 negotiation.
Do you know why I picked this story?
I don't actually.
Yeah. We went to our local Choose FI group and we had a case study. And the person who giving our case study had a fascinating story of this exact same thing happening, of him hitting that financial independence, at least like threshold where if he would have lost his job, they wouldn't have starved, right? And he was able to basically resign twice in his career. He had gone in and basically resigned, and instead his working conditions and his money all got better. 2 different times that he was able to do that, and he was able to make that move because of FIRE. And those kinds of stories, people taking the power back from their employment situation because they're not relying on it to make basic necessity type ends meet, I think it is one of the most appealing things about financial independence to me.
Yeah, except that their story last night didn't come off sounding like weird fan fiction.
Oh, you think this is fan fiction?
I have no reason to believe that it's not true. Other than the fact that I've been on the internet a long time.
Sure.
But it reads, it's almost like fire jerk material, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like it hits all the highlights. It's got everything in it. I have the power.
Yeah.
The tables have turned. It's like so dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah. The ending of I got a 30% pay raise and a standing ovation.
Right? Everybody clapped.
Everybody clapped.
But
I could see that vibe.
This new company, yeah, sure, they gave him a 30% offer above what he was going to go for without any good negotiation. But do you really want to work for a company that jerks you around in the interview process?
5 interviews.
5 interviews and they're not telling you on whether or not they want to hire you? Like, should be like, okay, bye, I don't have time to play games.
Sure. And the problem he had, was a toxic work environment. And it sounds like he's not making a change in industries. Mm-hmm. So, 5 interviews might signal that he's just jumping into a new toxic work environment.
The company that I interviewed with, that was actually 6 interviews. Because I had an initial interview, I had a secondary interview, remote, and then they flew me out to their headquarters, and then I had 4 interviews in one day. But don't worry, they paid for it, and they fed me lunch. Yeah. And that place would have been toxic. So I think there is something to say about the number of interviews correlating with the toxicity of your workplace. Oh, and there would have been one more after that. It was a vibe check. And that's the story of how I did not get the job offer to work at Facebook. Thank goodness.
Yeah. So that is interesting. Was it, so like whenever I interviewed at Boeing, I had 2 interviews that day, but it was like there were 2 job postings they were considering me for. So I interviewed with 2 different people. Was it like that, or was it 4 rounds going towards the one job?
Yeah, the latter. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. They were each interviewing me for different areas of strength required in the job posting. Technical skills, people skills, all that good stuff.
Gotcha.
And
ability to start the downturn of all society while bilking billions.
This has been the root cause of a lot of things going on in the world in the last decade or so.
Sure.
So,
don't forget the poisoning of our children's minds.
Oh yeah. Well,
and,
I mean, that was
ours. Right?
That was given, right? Like,
obviously, let's not pretend we're not addled by social media.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean,
we have a podcast where we talk about social media.
I'm suckling the teat of our toxic tech overlords. Yeah.
Look at us from our high horse.
I would say that I don't think to change the topic after that. I don't think that FI has necessarily accelerated my career, but I do think that it has made it interns easier and harder to tolerate, depending on where I'm at and how things are going at work. Because some days it's like, man, I could just quit.
Yeah.
I gotta deal with this crap. And other days it's like, well, I don't have to care about this as much because I could just leave if it got that bad.
Right. Yeah, I think I lean into the latter, where being more mindful of my finances and what the impacts would be of a job loss has made me more relaxed in my career. And I don't know that it has advanced my career because I'm not advocating for myself. Like that was unfortunately one of the parts of my job I did not like, was the self-advocacy and trumping up my own brand and all of that kind of stuff. So I just stopped doing that and I started enjoying my work a lot more.
Yeah, I'm very happy that FI has given me the option to not try to climb the ladder, because it just seems like a lot of pain and suffering for not a lot in return. Well, speaking of perceptions, we have a post from Middle Class Finance subreddit. It says, do you think the FIRE movement skewed people's perceptions of middle class? People online often claim that $200,000 a year isn't enough to live a middle class lifestyle, but after taxes, that's around $150,000 per year, or roughly $12,500 per month. Back in the day, older generations typically saved no more than 10% of their income for retirement if they saved at all. So let's assume $1,500 per month goes into retirement savings, leaving $11,000 per month for everything else. Say you buy 2 new cars that might cost around $1,500 per month combined. Now you're down to $9,500. Add in $1 million home with a $6,000 a month mortgage, and you're left with $3,500. Allocate $1,000 for food, another $1,000 for shopping or miscellaneous spending, and $500 for vacations, and you still have $1,000 left over every month. It's a pretty affluent lifestyle if you're okay with retiring at 65. Most people who say they can't live comfortably on $200,000 plus probably think saving anything less than 30 to 50% is insufficient and are aiming to retire before 50. What say you?
I don't think that the FIRE movement is big enough to cause a skew in the perception of what the middle class is. And also, $200,000 is more than enough to live a middle class lifestyle, right? I think that society's kind of shoving off the idea of frugality and delaying gratification at all in anything is one of the things that's made it harder for a middle class lifestyle. Additionally, society has changed in what people expect from a minimum acceptable lifestyle.
Yeah, quality of life.
Right?
Yeah.
So like people expect to have infinite media at their fingertips at all times, right?
We need to have a new cell phone.
Right.
We have to pay a cell phone bill. We have to have the nicest newer car, so that's the car payments there. We've got to buy whatever the influencers are selling on TikTok.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, if you only want to spend $1,000 for shopping or miscellaneous spending, that's plenty. But if you're like pretty much everybody else in America that doesn't think twice about consumerism, then that's not enough.
Right. Well, and it kind of goes back to the social media thing, right? You touched on that. Our current media landscape is so much better at selling things to us than the network TV 30-second commercial environment that we grew up in, right? That
applied directly to the forehead.
Right.
Applied directly to forehead.
Yeah, so it's just like everything is right in your face. Not only is it in your face, but it is tuned to exactly what you want. And I remember noticing the first time I noticed, this advertisement is for me. I like that. If I've got to see an ad, I want to see ads that are relevant to me, right?
Yeah.
But it's dangerous if you don't have a little bit of self-control in your spending.
I think people's perception of what middle class is just skewed in general.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people think that they're middle class when they are actually on the lower end of society. And I think a lot of people say that they are middle class when they are actually upper middle class or upper class in general.
Yeah. There's like a middle class suck, kind of like everybody thinks they're middle class.
It's safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with being in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are actually poor, you say, well, actually, we're middle class because, everybody else around us has the same struggles and we're just like everybody else. And it's a way to make yourself feel better. If you are upper middle class or upper class, then it's a way for you to kind of blend in and not stick out and not be one of those people with money, right?
Right. Or a target for scammers or a target for the things that come from being affluent and public about it.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily know if the FIRE movement has anything to do with it. Maybe you could say within the FIRE movement, the class perception is skewed because so many people in the FIRE movement do live below their means that even if you are upper class, you're living a middle class lifestyle.
Right. Yeah, that is interesting because we've talked a lot about the idea of these chill millionaires, right? Like we're surrounded by all these people who are millionaires, but also they're just normal middle class seeming people, right?
Yeah. Think about what event were we at? We were like, how much money is in this room right now?
It was at the cruise we looked around and we're like, yeah, there is like $500 million of net worth in this room.
Yeah. And, none of us stood out. We weren't wearing flashy Gucci and, none of us drive Lamborghinis and everything. But, we don't have to worry about money. And that is a big gift.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of things making the middle class feel weird right now. But I don't think it's the FIRE movement unless you're deep in the FIRE movement. And then I can see where perceptions are skewed too. So.
You're way in the closet, Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. This one, I don't think we got a good conclusion on this one. So, if you guys got any thoughts on it, send them to firetakespod@gmail.com. And maybe we'll read a couple of emails and revisit this one. Because, like I say, I feel unsatisfied by this.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear from the peanut gallery. So please chime in.
All right, we got one last relationship story here. This one was posted on our Ask Men Advice. And this one says, hey fellas, I need your help here. I'm 32, she is 26. We've been together for close to a year now. I like her. She's sweet, caring, and little drama. But when it comes to money and planning, she behaves like a child. Always going for instant gratification instead of planning for a long-term goal. We want to go to a music festival this year as our vacation. She's a teacher and doesn't make a lot of money, so she would have needed to save up for that. We've been talking about this for months. She just keeps complaining that she doesn't have enough money to afford the trip. I tell her time and time again that she does have the money. She just needs to save up for the festival. But she just refuses. Last weekend, she went shopping and spent about 10% of what we would have needed as a budget for the festival. Last night, we were talking about the festival. She said she won't be able to afford it. I asked her why she spent so much money on shopping then. You only live once, and I could be dead tomorrow, were the bullshit answers. It's infuriating. Like talking to a literal child. I have a good job in the finance sector and get paid in foreign currency. I could easily pay for the both of us. I pay most of the bills and always pick up the tab when we go out. I don't mind at all. But I just refuse to pay for this event when she keeps spending money like she does. I need your advice on this. I'm looking to start a family in the next few years, and she's great with kids, also attractive. But I cannot see her as my wife if I cannot trust her to do something as simple as save up for a vacation for a couple of months. I probably could take control of her finances completely, but I feel like I would be together with a child instead of a grown adult. What to do? Keep trying to educate her and pray for improvement, or just cut my losses and move on?
You know what helps when you start dating a zebra?
What?
Try and change those stripes into polka dots.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he might be dating a zebra.
I think he's dating a zebra, and she's bound and determined to remain a zebra, and he's looking for somebody with polka dots.
Yeah, we've brought up this kind of conundrum. This isn't a fire guy, but he's a financial guy. Has some money sense, and money is important, right?
Money is very important. They started dating when she was 25.
Yeah.
So, for all intents and purposes,
she's got a frontal lobe all fully formed.
Kind of is a child.
Yeah.
And he's 32.
Yeah.
And there's a pretty big difference in a lot of perspective from 32 to 26.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, you bagged yourself a hot 20-something-year-old girlfriend, and now you're upset when she's acting like a hot 20-something-year-old girlfriend.
Yeah. No, that's true. But once again, who you marry is one of the most important financial decisions you'll ever make in your life. And it would be tough for me at that point to go on a hope that things will get better with my hot girlfriend whenever I turn her into my wife, right? So
when I turn her into my wife, that gives her access to half of my my possessions.
Yeah. All right. We do have an update here from OP. He says, first, let me clarify some things. She's the one who brought up the festival as a vacation. She said she wanted to go there for years. It's her music and her crowd. I would just come with her to spend time with her. Second, it's not about the amount of money. I thought I made this clear, but let me type it out again. I don't care that she can't afford it. I'm disappointed because she won't commit and chooses quick, cheap gratification over something we would have memories from for years. Thirdly, to all the people that said she needs to spend all of her money on bullshit because only then she can be attractive enough for me, you have never been in a serious relationship and you are terrible with money. You just try to justify your awful spending habits. If you think that your man is only with you because you wear a new outfit every day, think again. So I decided to have a very long and serious talk with her and broke up with her. It's just not fair for her if I stayed with her, although I know I will not trust her to be committed to the relationship. Ultimately, this relationship will not lead anywhere, and I would be the asshole if I dragged this out. I just have seen too many examples of how people don't change, and I'm scared what would happen if we got married, had kids, and things did not improve. I'm staying with my parents for Easter. She will stay with hers. After that, I'll get my stuff out of the apartment. It's paid for until the end of May. Now she needs to actually grow up and become an adult. Now I'm sitting in a hotel room I got for the night, and we'll go cry in the hot shower for the next couple hours. Take care, guys. Thanks for all the heartwarming insights and compassion. Yeah, it's tough, right? And I think OP did the right thing.
I do too.
Yeah, but it is hard, especially when a lot of things feel really good about a relationship, but you just have to objectively look at it and be like, yeah, it's not going anywhere. And oh, by the way, she's 26 and probably just wants to figure her life out.
Well, she wants to have fun.
Yeah, that too.
And sure, there's nothing wrong with having fun in your 20s, but you've got to be responsible about having fun in your 20s, or else you're definitely not going to be having fun in your 30s as you pay off all of that fun and or experience the consequences from all that fun.
Right.
And it sounds like OP did the mature, responsible thing and ended it because it's not a good dynamic when you have to parent your spouse.
Yeah. And 32 to 26, that's only 6 years. What is that? The half is 16 plus 7 is 23, which that sounds gross.
Yeah.
But so it's above the acceptable age. But still, yeah, you're right. I think you called it earlier that they're just in different phases of their life. There's a lot of difference between a 26-year-old and a 32-year-old.
Yeah, and it sounds like OP wants to settle down and have kids and have a wife and just enjoy life. And it sounds like she wants to go out and have fun.
Right.
And
she wants fun experiences, but she wants them to just materialize through magic, which technically it sounds like OP could have done that for her if all he wanted was to drag around some cute arm candy for a few years. He probably could have afforded to do that, but I think he did the mature thing of not dragging this out and letting her live a life with someone who might want a longer term relationship with her.
Yeah, thinking longer term more than just short-term gratification for today, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. Good for OP.
Good for OP. What a guy.
Also, can we just have a quick giggle about the fact that there is a subreddit called Ask Men Advice? Why would you ask men for advice on anything?
It's Ask Men Anything, a space for men and women to ask for men's advice.
Do you have any problems men cause in life? You don't want to go to those very people who cause the problem to get advice? Come on.
Hey, but I did want to point out that we've had a lot of stories about men not doing well on the podcast in general in our history. And today we went with 2 women as the antagonist stories.
We did.
Okay, I picked that specifically. I was thinking about that. We need a little balance in the galaxy.
It's true. Men are not the entire cause of everything going on in the world.
Not all men. Most men.
Just most.
And some women.
And some women. Not all, but enough.
Enough.
You know? Yeah.
All right. Okay, I think that's all I got for today.
Whew, that's all I got for today. I don't think we need to have any more. I think we'll let everybody go and just noodle on that. And if you want to chime in on the previous story, we would love to get your insights.
All right. We'll talk to you guys in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Fire Takes podcast. Wanted to remind you that this is an entertainment podcast. Glenn and I, not financial planners, just opinionated. There are many ways to reach us if you just go to firetakespod.com, including email, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube. You can hear more from Gwen at firymillennials.com. Thanks for joining us. Bye.